Hello, my friends, and thank you for joining me for this issue of Rise Over Run, your monthly reminder to spend some time on the rise, growing your business, over the run, running your business. Today, let's talk about bootstrapping and scrappiness, great entrepreneur buzzwords. So a few years ago, my husband and I were driving up to beautiful Bayfield, Wisconsin on the shores of Lake Superior. We'd recently bought a condo there that we rented out for income, but we tried to visit during the quiet season. The drive takes us through the heart of the Chequamegon-Nicolet National Forest, and let me tell you, there is not much around there. We passed through a handful of very small towns like Mason, population 101. Yep, 101. Small towns, some of them have a church or a gas station/grocery store, and most at least have a bar or two or three. Along the way, we passed several roadside signs advertising bundles of firewood, usually with a stack of the wood right on the shoulder and a little payment box. Sometimes a bundle was $7, sometimes $8, sometimes $6. These sellers clearly knew their competition and they stayed close on price. And then we drove past a sign that said, I kid you not, organic firewood, $15. Now there's a selling point. What environmentally conscious city dweller wouldn't prefer to pay a little extra for the organic stuff? I imagine the locals get a good laugh out of that one. It still makes me smile every time we drive through, even though I haven't spotted the sign in a while. And it reminds me of the need for rural residents to continually be creative and resourceful. It also serves as a reminder of the very real challenges in life in an extremely rural area. Having grown up in New Jersey, where my graduating high school class was larger than many of these entire towns, I'm genuinely fascinated by what daily life looks like in Mason, or in Drummond, population 544, or Grandview, population 120. How far do you drive to get to school? To the grocery store, to the doctor's office. And of course I wonder, what do you do for a living? Based on a little research, and surely you're not surprised that I looked into this, the largest employers in these areas tend to fall into healthcare services or public education, followed by manufacturing, agriculture, construction, and hospitality and tourism. And from what I observe on the drive up, the entrepreneurs beyond the farmers include bar owners, antique dealers, farm implement distributors, and the person with the hand-painted sign promising to fix whatever you've got that's broken. And, of course, firewood sales. The word that comes to mind is scrappy, right? These enterprising residents band together, support one another, and piece together a remarkable variety of ways to bring in income and support their households. Do they want some city slicker showing up to teach them about efficiency or scale? No, sir, they do not. And they don't need to. But can things continue as they have been much longer? I'd hazard a guess that the answer to that is no as well. The population in these areas is aging, and the kids are leaving for college, for jobs, for opportunity. Giant chains like Walmart and the proliferating dollar stores are chipping away at small retail and local grocers. Amazon delivers to even the most remote zip codes, making it harder than ever for those Main Street stores to compete on convenience. And many of the small businesses that anchor these small towns are owned by people in their 50s and 60s who don't have family nearby ready to take over. When these businesses close, the town loses not just a small business, it loses jobs and a piece of their identity. But here's where the story gets more interesting. Some new entrepreneurs are showing up in some of these communities, adding some optimism to the small towns. These new rural business builders are creative, resilient, and tech-savvy. Some are bootstrappers, and some know their way around an SBA loan. They're drawn by something that no city can offer: a high quality of life, a tight-knit community, open skies, and the genuine sense that what they build will matter. Some are the children of these towns, people who grew up here, left for college or career, and then chose to come back there to raise kids closer to home. Others are transplants from larger cities who fell in love with the outdoors, the quiet, the idea of starting new somewhere that actually needs them. And some are immigrants who have pooled their savings and spotted an underserved market and found that a small town makes a more affordable entry into business ownership than some urban neighborhoods could. They still face some real challenges. Rural businesses only receive about 1% of private investment dollars in the U.S. Hiring is a persistent challenge. The pool of potential employees is small, and those with specialized skills are in even more short supply. Access to housing, healthcare, and post-secondary education, the basic building blocks of a stable workforce, are very limited. There are structural disadvantages that no amount of scrappiness can solve. And yet there's a new sense of optimism in some of these communities. Expanded broadband access is slowly reaching places that were long cut off from the digital economy, which enables rural entrepreneurs to find customers beyond their town lines. Remote work has made it more possible to move to these scenic rural towns, bringing in new residents with disposable income and fresh ideas. And as always, the scrappy creativity continues to solve problems and create opportunity. Consider the snowmobile trail taverns and the ice fishing areas that have had to reinvent themselves as winters grow shorter and snowpack grows unreliable. Climate change isn't an abstraction in these communities, it's a canceled season, tourists who don't visit, and a significant loss in revenue. Adapting means finding new reasons for people to visit in all 4 seasons, or pivoting to serve local community differently when the out-of-towners don't show up. This kind of creative problem solving, applied with limited resources and born out of necessity, is exactly what has kept these towns alive through every previous disruption. So what I hope for, what I think is genuinely possible, is a new generation of rural entrepreneurs who come together the way small town residents always have, to share resources, swap knowledge, and lift one another up. Not because some outside expert told them to, but because that cooperative instinct is already baked into their culture. I'm genuinely excited to see what the rural communities of my home state of Wisconsin will look like in 10 years. Some things will certainly change, new businesses, new faces, new ways of connecting to the economy. And some things I expect will stay exactly the same. The resourcefulness, the neighbor helping neighbor mindset, that refusal to quit. And somewhere along that drive through the Schwamagon-Nicolay forest, I like to think there's still an entrepreneur with a sign and a stack of firewood charging $15 or maybe $50 by then for the organic variety and laughing all the way to the payment box. Thanks for joining me this week for Rise Over Run. As a supporter of small businesses in small towns, I'm putting together a virtual business owner roundtable group that connects businesses across the region with their peers to compare notes, share strategies, and find new ways to grow. If you're curious to learn more, reach out to me at kelly@secondstagegrowth.com or take my quiz to see if you're a good fit for a peer group at secondstagegrowth.com/quiz. Thanks.